16 WAPT News live at 5.
Breaking news, a suspect bails out of a moving car as it crashes into a fence and takes off with police close behind. What officers say happened. Plus, one man stabbed to death, and police say the killer used something like an ice pick to do it. Plus, a manhunt tonight after a bus stop carjacking.
That's what was going through your head.
That he was going to hurt them.
Developing now, Tammy, a manhunt after a car chase and crash in West Jackson.
That's right, Megan. 16 WAPT's Ann Parker is live on the scene near Flag Chapel Road. Ann.
Jackson police say they have one man in custody and another suspect is still on the run. It all ended right here in this parking lot, and the whole thing was caught on camera. Take a look at this surveillance video. You can see the red car coming into the parking lot with this hood already open. From another angle, you can see that car crash. Two suspects jumped out, and if you look carefully, one of the suspects jumps into a 15-foot ditch. One officer has minor injuries from chasing after him. Police say they started the chase a few blocks away.
The armed robbery of an individual earlier today at 759 Glen Cross, where the complainant was armed robbed of his cell phone and other items. He was then able to track his cell phone down. He notified us, and we came in contact with the individuals who were in the vehicle. These individuals then pulled up on the parking lot of the supermarket grocery. The individual that was the passenger jumped out and fled the scene on foot, but the driver of this vehicle tried to leave the scene.
Again, JPS says they have one man in custody being treated at the hospital with a leg injury. Another man is still at large after he fled the scene. If you have any information about that suspect who is still on the run, call Crime Stoppers immediately. Live in Jackson, Ann Parker, 16 WAPT News.
A wild chase out there. Thanks so much, Ann. Well, here's a look at where all of this happened. Police arrested one man with a leg injury. Another man, once again, is still on the run after he got away in a drainage ditch. If you have any information, like Ann said, call Crime Stoppers at 601-355-TIPS.
All right, we got some heavy downpours around the area. Here is a look at the Windward Bluff Sky Cam. We're looking off to the west, and you can see the shower over towards the Richland side. Let me show you that on live Storm Shield 16 Doppler radar. There you see it, stretching from Ridgeland straight down the Pearl River and building on the Rankin side. Looks like most of these showers are going to be dropping to the south and southeast down Highway 49 towards Florence. Well, how about the rest of the area? There are showers around. I'll show you the rest of radar, and I'll show you cooler temperatures that are headed this way coming up.
All right, thanks, David. Well, new at 5, Megan, a deadly stabbing in Yazoo City.
Tammy, and it looks like the killer in this case used something like a screwdriver or maybe an ice pick. 16 WAPT's Ross Adams talked to police.
The man's body was found lying in the middle of the street near a railroad track. Police say 32-year-old Jeffrey Williams had wounds to his chest when investigators found him late Monday night. One witness who saw the man's body in the middle of Maney Alley describes his injuries.
3 stab wounds and a hole in his back. So evidently he got stabbed, and he got shot too at the same time.
We heard something about there was an ice pick involved.
I cannot confirm or deny if it was an ice pick, screwdriver, any sharp object.
Williams' body has been transported to the state crime lab for an autopsy. Investigators did arrest a suspect, but they haven't released his name. Folks in the neighborhood say the two men lived together. Reporting from Yazoo City, Ross Adams, 16 WAPT News.
Well, new at 5, a promising young athlete died today in a car crash. That crash happened in Copiah County on Rutledge Road in Hazelhurst. Police say 16-year-old Jarius Holloway ran off the road and into a tree early this morning. Officers say Holloway was on his way to school at the time of that crash. New at 5, Tammy, a carjacking this morning at an elementary school bus stop.
Megan, this is unbelievable. And as 16 WAPT's Hadas Brown reports, these kids were just standing at the bus stop waiting for their bus when this happened.
4
kids say they were just waiting in one mom's car for the school bus when a man in a white car pulled up and got out with a gun.
He went to her car and grabbed my sister and my cousin out by their arm, and they came running in the house saying, "Help me." This man just grabbed me by my arm and he took off with the car.
Police say a mother was sitting in that car waiting for the bus with her child and 3 other kids, all of them under 11 years old.
Tell us what was going through your head.
That he was going to hurt them.
That mother says the man took her car and took off. The whole thing happened in just a few seconds. This area has been the bus stop for those kids for over a year. Their mother says she never thought that just waiting for the bus could put them in so much danger.
That's when I just went into shock.
The carjacker got away with the car, that mother's purse, and all of the kids' backpacks.
I'm feeling mad because it's not his to take.
As for the kids, one 9-year-old went ahead to school when the bus showed up, but at least one of the other kids asked her mom if she can stop taking the bus. In Jackson, Hadass Brown, 16 WAPT News.
Well, tonight, Jackson police are looking for the victim's white Ford Fusion. It has a Holmes County license plate. That plate number is HLN 459. Well, Byron police say they're also looking for a white Ford Fusion tonight. Investigators say the victim told them a man bashed her over the head with a gun, then tried to force her into the car. It happened on East Frontage Road. Officers are trying to determine if the crimes in Byram and Jackson are connected. If you have any information that can help police, call Crime Stoppers. The Mississippi State Fair is only 8 days away, but tonight one city councilman says he's concerned after JPD decided not to work overtime at the event. Kenny Stokes said somebody needs to step up and pay to keep safety first.
No one's afraid of a security guard. They'll run over and probably take the security guard gun and whip him with his own gun. We cannot allow the Fair Commission to put profits over safety. Everyone who goes to the fair wants to be safe. No one wants their car broken into, their purse snatched.
Well, JPD says officers will continue their normal patrols outside of the fairgrounds, but no extra officers or overtime will be approved. And Megan, state health leaders say they have found 4 new cases, human cases of the West Nile virus.
Tammy, those cases are in Hinds, Marion, and Lauderdale counties. This brings the total number of West Nile cases up to 32 this year. Atala County had the only fatal case of West Nile in Mississippi. The state had 48 cases of West Nile last year, and 7 people died. Well, one community is winning their fight against a dollar store. Raymond held a town hall today to discuss that store, and a group showed up in force against the idea. The landowner eventually decided to drop the plans to build that dollar store.
I didn't give up. I'm just smart. You counted, didn't you? He saw so much of the community was against that, and he's a reasonable person. He's a developer, a good developer, that doesn't want to be where people don't want him.
It ended with the city withdrawing the petition to build that dollar store. It looks like the Senate is on track to pass a spending bill that will keep the government from shutting down this week, despite opposition from some Republicans who want to keep in language that would defund Planned Parenthood. Diane Roberts joins us live from our Washington bureau with the very latest for us. Diane.
Megan, that Senate measure would keep the government from shutting down tomorrow night, but getting it through the House might be more difficult.
The bill hardly represents my preferred method for funding the government.
Majority Leader Mitch McConnell on the Senate floor Tuesday, pushing what he calls a bipartisan effort to prevent a government shutdown.
It's now the most viable way forward after Democrats' extreme actions forced our country into this situation.
Democrats say the spending bill is necessary to avoid catastrophe.
This government by crisis is no way to run a country.
But hardline conservatives disagree. Some are still pushing for a shutdown in a fight that started with funding Planned Parenthood.
Let's defund it all. And if there has to be a negotiation, let's start from defunding it all and see where we get.
If Republican leaders continue to let the hard right tail wag the Republican dog, the consequences this fall could be catastrophic.
That fight could carry over as the House takes up the measure. But outgoing Speaker John Boehner says his job is to make sure the government stays open.
We're going to take this one day at a time and do what we can on behalf of the American people.
This measure is just a temporary fix to get through December. That's when lawmakers are bracing for an even bigger fight to avoid a shutdown. In Washington, I'm Diane Roberts, 16 WAPT News.
Okay, Diane, thank you. A major metro project is getting some help from this dry weather, Tammy.
That's right, Megan. 16 WAPT Scott Simmons joins me live in the newsroom. Scott, you have been following this Crossgates project from the beginning, and you found out they have changed their timeline.
Well, yeah, this brutal drought is actually working out for their plans, since draining the lake has actually sped up the process. In fact, today, I took a walk out on the lake bed today. It's dry and cracked and in some spots lush with weeds and grass. The plan is to start digging out the soil. Now, they didn't think they'd be able to do anything on that lake until next year, but now because it's been so dry, the city could actually get some crews out there to do some preliminary work in the next couple of weeks.
We didn't think we'd be able to do that till next summer, but we need to get in there and cut some trenches, and they call them bleeders, so that that water can actually begin to migrate. And as it rains and winter comes on, that water will leave the lake.
Even a little rain is not going to be a problem because it has been so dry. All of those weeds and grass actually starting to pull more moisture out of the ground, so that's a good thing. Now, if all goes according to plan, they can dig out the soil, get it to about 4 to 6 feet deep, start refilling the lake maybe by the end of next summer.
Wow, so from years to weeks.
From 2 years to possibly inside of 1 if all goes well.
Wow. Thanks so much. Scott Simmons live for us in the newsroom. Well, the Jackson Police Department hosted a delegation from South Africa today. We caught up with the group while they were at police headquarters. Now, the Associated Press reports that violent crime has increased for the 3rd year in a row in South Africa. Reports show over 17,000 South Africans were murdered last year, a rate of 49 people every day. Chief Lee Vance says the delegation is in town to see if they can pick up tips on how to fight crime.
Certain people have decided that crime is going to be their vocation, and that's what they want to do for a living. So our thing is to try to get them learned over the years. The police.
Well, if you were wondering, according to JPD's online crime stats, violent crime in the city of Jackson is down by almost 3% compared to last year. Well, tomorrow marks 53 years since James Meredith became the first black student at Ole Miss. His enrollment set off a race riot. It got so bad that President John F. Kennedy sent the troops to push back angry crowds. Now, in the end, 2 people died and hundreds of people were injured. Meredith graduated from the university in 1963 with a degree in political science. At that time, there were still hundreds of troops guarding him 24 hours a day. Well, Megan, Jackson lawmakers have a plan to bring in more business.
Specifically healthcare businesses, Tammy. The Jackson City Council took the first step to create a healthcare corridor. Lawmakers approved a commission that'll look for funding to create that corridor from I-55 to I-220. City leaders say it would act as a link for area hospitals and attract businesses to this area. The plan also includes a $45 million research facility that would be built on UMMC's campus. Well, today marks 1 year since the Salvation Army reopened its thrift store after a fire destroyed it. That fire happened last January at the location off Presto Lane, scorching the store, ruining most of the donations inside. The Salvation Army will celebrate with Dollar Day tomorrow to remember the reopening of the thrift store. Clothes will be marked down to $1. Suits will be sold for $5. Everything else in the store, 15% off. And here's another anniversary. Today marks the 100th anniversary of the New Orleans hurricane. Federal records say that storm killed more than 200 people and caused millions of dollars in damage. It crumbled levees and flooded much of the city. So 1915, that 2005, Katrina, David.
That's right, and we got a major hurricane drought. It has been 10 years, and I told you last week that it has been since 1914 that we've gone this late in the season that there has not been a hurricane in the western Atlantic. That is about to change because Joaquin looks like it is going to become a hurricane, and it looks like there's going to be significant impacts on the U.S. For us, the effects will be good. It's going to send a nice shot of cool air southward. Wait till you see my temperatures coming up.
Okay, David. Alien life. NASA scientists have found water on Mars. So what could this mean for life on other planets? And one governor preparing for backlash after a major company stopped drilling for oil. Stay with us. You're watching 16 WAPT News, live at 5.
This is 16 WAPT News, live at 5. The one to watch.
All right, here's what's going on this evening. Couple scattered downpours, even a little thunder and lightning mixed in. They moved through Vicksburg a short time ago, headed down towards Port Gibson, and primarily in our area over in Rankin County. Here is a wide view. We still have that upper level low spinning southwest of Lake Charles, but it is weakening. And you can see there's just not a whole lot of activity in the area. Most of it has popped up during the heat of the day. Here is the metro area now, and there you can see the downpour stretching from Ridgeland right down across western Rankin County, just to the east of downtown, crossing the interstate now into Richland. It'll be headed down towards Florence. Quick downpour, maybe 15-20 minutes with a little thunder and lightning. Looks like a steady rain up towards the reservoir. Some spots gonna miss it. Look back to the west. There's not much action here. There may be a light shower off to the west, but it looks like through the early evening right here in western Rankin County, this cluster of downpours will be building to the south and southeast. Here's a live look from the Windward Bluff Reservoir cam there. Oh, I put that one in. That's right. We had it. My bad. There, we'll show it there. But we had the downpour. I got out of order there. We had the downpour. It has moved to the south, and now you see breaks in the clouds. Now let's go to that county line cam. Shower missed that area, and look at that. The sun is out. The shower and the downpour is right over there, back off to the east, southeast. All right, and here is the Capitol Towers, Hilton, Capitol Towers Skycam downtown. That's what happens when I put too many Skycams in, when I want to show everything that's going on. We're looking to the north and northwest, and notice there's not that big black cloud development. All the downpours off to the east. 84-73 our high-low today. Nothing measurable when I checked at the airport. They're having a little bit right now. We'll update that at 6. And the current temperature with that shower in the area down to 78 degrees. And the wind is out of the north-northwest. So some is better than none. It's not enough to break the drought situation, but we will take it. Drier air will be coming in from the north. This low will be weakening, and as the drier air arrives, a cold front will move in, and it will turn significantly cooler. So by later tonight, the showers are gone. We'll have some cloud cover tomorrow. The sun will break out through the clouds in the afternoon. By the time we get to the end of the week, the weather is looking terrific. So the big story for us is the cooler air moving in with the front, and we will see terrific, comfortable weather. All right, here's Joaquin. Top winds are 65. This is the area where it'll be moving, and there's really a significant threat of heavy rain. High pressure in the Atlantic is blocking everything from moving to the east. There'll be a tremendous fetch of moisture. Mid-Atlantic states into the northeast could see serious flooding late this week into the weekend. Could be a real big newsmaker. So early evening showers, then damp and humid. Tomorrow, 82. Breaks in the clouds in the afternoon, but the temperatures get better. Tomorrow night, 62, but they'll get even lower than that. Look at those numbers. Oh, boy, that's going to feel good. A nice stretch of weather. You know what kind of weather that is. Not only is it football weather, fair weather.
We say it. Doesn't it seem to happen every year?
A week from tomorrow.
Just in time.
Yeah.
Okay, David. Well, funding fights. Congress trading jabs over Planned Parenthood. Keep it here. You're watching 16 WABT News live at 5. Planned Parenthood in the hot seat on Capitol Hill today, Tammy.
That's right, Megan. Republicans are trying to get their federal funding pulled. Here's Aixa Diaz in our Washington newsroom.
Tammy, Republicans say Planned Parenthood should have its federal funding revoked, while Democrats argue the GOP is playing politics.
I'm proud to be here today.
Planned Parenthood President Cecile Richards told lawmakers her organization does nothing illegal.
The whole commission that legalized and created the structure under fetal tissue research was started under the Reagan administration.
Planned Parenthood came under scrutiny after an anti-abortion group released secretly recorded videos. The tapes show Planned Parenthood officials discussing the sale of fetal tissue.
Do you defend the sale of baby body parts?
No. And I think that is really a total mischaracterization.
Read the facts, do your research before you ask these exhausting, sometimes I feel insulting questions.
The chair of the House Oversight Committee says Planned Parenthood spends money on lavish salaries, travel, and parties.
They're pretty good at fundraising. They don't necessarily need taxpayer dollars to go pay for it.
Republicans are doubling down on their war against women.
Richard says federal money is only used for medical services like cancer screenings and not for abortions, with a few exceptions for cases like rape or incest.
We provide health care under the Medicaid program, just like every other hospital and health care provider that sees Medicaid patients.
House Republicans are creating a select subcommittee to continue investigating those videos, which Planned Parenthood says were heavily doctored. In Washington, Aixa Diaz, 16 WAPT News.
Well, President Obama met with Raul Castro this morning during the UN General Assembly. Castro hasn't been in the U.S. in more than 50 years. The U.S. and Cuba continue efforts to restore diplomatic ties. Now, just yesterday, President Obama talked about dropping the trade embargo against Cuba. Now, of course, Congress would have to vote on lifting any embargoes before it could actually go into effect. And right now, the U.S. is battling right here in Afghanistan. Now, they're in the city of Kunduz, bombing that city right now, the 6th largest city in that region, against the Taliban. The U.S. has launched airstrikes in the city to drive back the Taliban. The terror group took control of the city on Monday. Now, Afghan forces are on the ground fighting. Government officials says troops have already taken back the police station and the prison where over 1,000 prisoners escaped during that battle on Monday. Well, follow the water to find life. That's the message from NASA as they explore Mars. Scientists announced they found flowing streams of water on that planet on yesterday. Now, they say this could mean there could be life on the planet. Well, microorganisms anyway. Well, this is exciting news as NASA searches for life beyond Earth and a possible new home for humans in the future.
So water is a prerequisite for life. If you can find flowing water on a planet, that gets you presumably close to potential life. But we have not gotten there yet.
Well, researchers are already working on the next mission to Mars, set to launch in the next 5 years. Well, big oil causing some big problems in Alaska, Megan.
This is a tough one, Tammy. Alaska's governor says he's bracing for the fallout after Shell ended Arctic drilling this week. Shell says they just didn't find enough oil in Alaska. The governor says he's worried about the economic impact, namely the jobs lost by this move. And right now he's looking for someone to take Shell's place. Regal release, a bird heading back into the wild after a lengthy rehab. You're watching 16 WAPT News, live at 5. Well, Tammy, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Agency teaming up with the zoo to release a bald eagle back into the wild.
That's right. You may remember that Bert Case actually reported on this a little while ago, Megan. A hunter found the eagle named Levi wounded in rural Rankin County. Now, zoo doctors pulled shotgun pellets out of the animal. They say he recovered enough to fly free. Wildlife officers plan to release the eagle tomorrow morning. A really happy story in the end.
Oh, yes. I remember there were questions about whether they'd be able to release him at all, so this is a good ending, Tammy. Okay, David.
All right, brightening skies behind that shower at the reservoir, and we'll take you right to live Storm Shield 16 Doppler radar over Pearl into Brandon. Moving to the south, nice downpour with thunder and lightning. We saw an eagle on our bike ride up the Trace this morning.
Oh, that's pretty rare.
Beautiful sight.
Yeah. That does it for us live at 5. See you at 6.